Hi everybody, this is Peter at soundsites.com, a resource for all sorts of websites for publications, manufacturers, retail outlets, blogs, etc. for pro audio. I wanted to talk to you real quick and add my 2 cents to the MXL from Marshall V250 condenser microphone for studio use. It's a vocal mic, also can be used for acoustic guitars, hi-hats, your typical condenser mic uses. It is designed or touted as a studio quality mic, not really for live use, too much vibration, etc. in the room. Even a small diaphragm, but large diaphragm, any kind of condenser mic like this, probably get overwhelmed by a lot of loud noise from a live environment. This microphone was spec'd for a big box retailer and their affiliate brick and mortar store. You can find it sometimes on eBay and other sources as well. Simply Google it and you'll see what the usual prices are going. I've seen it a lot on sale for around the $80, $90 price point. The retail on it is $299. Street list, I see it a lot for $199. But every once in a while, you can get a really good deal on it. I found it on the kind of the stupid deal of the day in an email. I got it for under $50. Yesterday, I went and checked the site, and it was selling for $39.99, so $40. When I saw this deal, I immediately went to my favorite search engines and put in MXL V250 to see what was said about it, see if it was a piece of junk. And I saw both sides of that conversation. What was funny, though, is a lot of the guys that were saying, no, it's a cheap piece of crap, also said, well, I've never used it, but, you get what you pay for. Well, you do get what you pay for, and a lot of times what you pay for is the name on the mic rather than anything else. If you're walking into a recording studio and paying hundreds of dollars an hour, you probably want a mic that reflects the quality of that as well. But we're not spending, $2,000 on a microphone here. If you want to do a YouTube video because you want to get put on the Ellen show and get discovered, well, your one shot may not pan out. Don't spend $3,000, spend $50. Good deal for hobbyist, home studio, doing some home recording. If you're making a lot of money doing audio, spend a lot of money on your equipment. It's kind of the bottom line there. For home projects, this is great. It's a great value. So I'm speaking through the V250, but I'm also speaking through the PreSonus analog digital converter that goes into my computer and then, gets put on maybe a little bit of post, probably not much. I'm going to try to stay away from that, but you're also getting the room that I'm in, which is not a studio. There's reflections. There's a fan buzzing up top. And I'll speak to that in a second as well. Really cool information I found while I was trying to investigate this particular mic for you. One of the sites that I list on soundsites.com is Recording Hacks. Recording Hacks has a great microphone database, tons of different mics out there where they put at least some amount of specs. Excuse me. The V250 is one of them that they've got here. It says here that specs were not available or that Marshall wasn't publishing their specifications. They do show that it's a 30 hertz to 20K microphone, but that's kind of the limitation of what they've got there. When I unboxed, and I'm not going to do a whole unboxing, there are a few other videos on YouTube that do that, but they came with this information sheet, general characteristics, power requirements, it's phantom power, typical condenser. Tells you to use high-end mic cables. Very nice of them to say so. Care and feeding, etc. Don't throw water on it; they rust. I live in Florida. That's going to be great trying to keep this thing dry. But in there is polar pattern and a frequency chart, and then the usual specs that microphones come from. So the specs are out there. Typical polar pattern for cardioid. The frequency chart, it goes down to about minus 6 dB, 8 dB at 30 hertz. And then presence peak up top. Looks like about 4K. It starts climbing, gets to about 8 dB over 0 at around 11 or 12K. So the typical vocal mic presence peak to get that kind of airy sound, good for cymbals and stuff. Actually, vocals never, the bass vocal tone never gets up that high, but the harmonics off of vocal cords and off the reflections in the room, you do pick up a difference on those high frequencies. That peak stays all the way through 20K. It's about 4 dB over at 20K, so there's a little bit of a bump that tops out at 12K. One of the other cool things that I saw while I was looking at this, there's a site called Home Studio Basics that also does a review on the V250. Pretty nice review, has good things to say about it. There's a lot of other information that I find as I go from one site to another and linking. There's a YouTube attached to this on doing a do-it-yourself home studio, which is very cool, done by DNG Music. The actual name of this tube, if you want to search on YouTube, how to make a low-budget do-it-yourself vocal booth for almost $0. Well, who doesn't want to do that? When you're using a mic like this, obviously the positive is it's very sensitive and it gets all the nuances of your voice or whatever you're trying to record, acoustic guitar, hi-hats, things like that. The downside is it gets all the nuances of the things you don't want to record. Room reflections, fans, air conditioning, as I mentioned before. So DNG here says take a comforter and throw it over your head in the mic and create a little vocal booth for yourself, which when he first said that, I laughed like I am now. It makes sense. You know, a lot of garage bands kind of studios, you throw carpets on the walls, soften everything up, or throw some A-crepe foam, things like that on the walls. I haven't done anything in here. But his demo was really good because he starts singing a cappella and just saying things like, I'm singing into this mic, and can you hear the air conditioning, and things like that, which I couldn't. You know, the recording sounded fine. Excuse my glasses. And then he put the comforter over his head in the mic. Amazing. Made a huge difference. Actually sounded much more pristine. Sounded like he was in a recording studio. So very cool tip. And I'll put a link to that and the other websites I cited here down below this so you can go check it out. I just thought it was a really cool demo. And, other than feeling kind of silly and maybe it's going to get a little warm under there, maybe we need a very cool, thick foam pad or comforter. But really a good idea, and on short notice, and you don't have a budget to throw a bunch of foam on the walls, or your wife's going to get ticked off if you mess up her guest bedroom. Hope that was useful, and look for other videos in near future on some of the dynamic mics I picked up at really low cost. I've always been interested in Shure 58 and the typical high-end mics, and without having a real use, I don't go do professional gigs. I don't get paid to play places, so I don't really want to spend that money. But when I see a $20 mic that can do something similar, I get intrigued. And again, that's money my wife won't notice comes out of the bank account. So I have a few of those that I'm going to throw out for your consideration in the near future. Thanks, guys.